I'm at the Engine Shed in Lincoln right now, sitting with Monty from Heights before they perform their headlining show at the Engine Shed in Lincoln later this evening. How easy was it recording like your latest album, Of Lives for Young Lives?
Not easy at all. Would probably be a good way to put it. Yeah, I said earlier, like we sort of spent so long writing it, and actually we didn't spend a very long time writing it. We spent a long time sort of building up to the record, like after recording it. But the writing period was sort of about 5 or 6 weeks long. It really wasn't a very long time at all. And like it was before that, I had never like sung in a studio. I'd never screamed in a studio. I'd never even stood in front of a live stage and played in a band like as a vocalist. Done none of that. So it was a really like steep learning curve for me, like having to go in there. And the guy we recorded with, Ben Humphreys at Outhouse Studios, was really helpful, and he really made like life easy on me, and he helped me out a lot and stuff. But it was difficult. It was really hard, and like by the end of it, like Dean got like horrifically ill by the end of it because we were just like putting everything into it, and it was like our entire life's focus at that like moment. And but it was you know, at the end of the day, I wouldn't change anything. Like I'm glad we fought over it and stuff, and it was you know, there's things that I'd change about it now, but as a stamp in time for what we were at that point in time, like I'm quite proud of it. Yeah.
Is the album actually all about the experience with Media Scare? Is it like about the legal battle, as it were? Because you're familiar with the Day to Remember?
Yeah, they're
because they're Victory Records.
Yeah. No, not really.
That doesn't come across.
Not really. No, I mean a little bit. There was parts of it. Yeah, there were parts of it. You're right. There were parts of it, like stuff like 11 Eyes and stuff. We talk a lot about. And Dean wrote the lyrics in 11 Eyes, but we're talking a lot about like. A lot of people thought that was like a political song, but it wasn't supposed to be at all. And it's sort of supposed to be about like how the kind of displacement of power, and how like when we're in a band, if we don't write music and if we're not a band, nobody else can do anything. There's no manager, there's no label. You know, if every band just stopped today, everyone making money in the music industry would just disappear and they'd have no job. But the bands are the last people to make money. And sometimes that sort of, and it happens all over the place. Like sometimes, you know, you could hear a child of only 7 years old say something incredibly profound, and then hear a teacher just shoot them down and be like, no, that's wrong, because that's not what's in this curriculum or whatever. At work, you know, you have a rubbish job and you have to work in a cubicle or whatever, but you're a better person than that essentially, but you need that to make money to live in a world, you know. And that song's kind of about that. It's kind of about how it's not always like, you know, sometimes you feel like the wrong sort of people have the power, and you know, it's frustrating. It's a frustrating place to be, and it's again that's kind of about like media scare and stuff. Yeah, of course.
So like,
but a lot of the stuff isn't as well.
So empty skulls, black holes, and white eyes. So run this place. Is that where it comes through?
Yeah, you know? yeah. Empty skulls was kind of the well, the metaphor really, is it? Just brainless, like people who are just idiots, just sort of running everything. Like,
well, so you're inferring something through what you're saying, is what you...
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you think about, like... Yeah, the whole Empty Skulls thing was basically just saying, like, you know, sometimes you'll be, like... You'll have an album ready to go, and you'll be, like, ready to do something as a band. And then you'll just have sort of just an idiot you're talking to. You're just talking to a wall, and you're just trying to do something, you're trying to get something across, like, artistic and creative. And you're just talking to, like, a manager or a label who are just, like, looking at you like, I don't know, like, I want to make some money. Like, it's just a frustrating place to be in. But that's not to say anything bad about the managers or labels that we've worked with, of course, except for Media Scare. Because we've worked with a lot of good managers, and the label that we did our last album with were very good to us and put a lot of money behind us. But
it's great when you get a label. It's great when you get a label that realise what you want to do and are absolutely on your side to do that.
Yeah.
That's probably is that the same with Transcend then now, or I would say so, wouldn't it? Because you're doing quite well as a band.
Yeah, no, Transcend have put a lot of faith into us, and sometimes it's difficult releasing an album, and you have things that you'll disagree on, but they did stuff for us, like they did vinyl runs for us, and they paid for us to have a really good press agent. He's a good friend of ours called Haley God, and there's a lot of things like that that are difficult, because at the end of the day, the label are the ones giving you the money, but then they're giving you the money because they want to get money back. You know, they're not just going to pile money into you for no reason. Like, they do want to see an output.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, being in a band is a business. Like, somebody has to, you know, you can't just throw money at a wall just because it's music. Like, it doesn't, you know, it's still, we're all working on the same plane here. People have to make money and people have to live. So, you know, obviously we're young and we don't really care about having normal jobs and stuff, and we just kind of want to do whatever. So we don't really care, but they do care. So it's difficult. It's really hard to find a good working relationship, but we did manage to find quite a good one between us and our label for that album. Yeah, I like Transcend Music a lot, and I like the guys that work there a lot, and I think they've done really well. So
that's great to hear. So for your second album, Old Lies for Young Lives, what are your main influences for your new record when you were in the studio?
I listen to a lot of weird music when we're in the studio. I think the most important thing about writing an album, if it's going to be something, don't listen to loads of things that are like it. So if you're going to go in and record like a soul album, try not listening to soul for like 6 months, because then you're not going to pick up on like really obvious ideas. Yeah, so like we were going in to write a heavy album, like a post-hardcore, whatever you want to call it, like you know. So I didn't want to listen to just loads of bands that were like us and like that and in our scene and stuff. So I was listening to loads of pop music and like female-fronted pop music and stuff. I was listening to a lot of hip hop, a lot of kind of electronic like dance music and stuff. And I think it's not, you know, if it's not guitar based, then it's, you know, you're not going to pick up vocal ideas and you're not going to pick up little things and nuances from bands like you. And at the end of the day, it's going to leave you with a bit more of an original sounding record. And Dean, who writes most of our music, was he pretty much.
I think you said in Australia, like you said, you listen to hip hop all the time.
Yeah, no, that's like we exclusively. I mean, neither me or Dean really listen to heavy music at all. Like, I haven't listened to like heavy bands in a long time. I like writing the music and I like playing it live, but I don't really listen to these sort of bands anymore. Like, outside of the bands that we sort of tour with. So yeah, I think that's important to have an original sound and to have to be able to do something different. I think.
Oh, wicked. Yeah. Who do you sort of listen to most at the moment, and what shows you've been to? You know, to check bands that you've checked out like recently.
I haven't been to a show in like a while actually. I've been like quite busy. Obviously, like writing and stuff mostly. Albums and I've listened to a bit late to the party, but Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Mad City, that came out like a couple of months ago, but it's a really good album, and I've been listening to that a lot lately. Mount Kimby put an album out in like May called Cold Spring and Thoughtless Youth, I think it was. That's really good. I'm really into that. That's sort of like minimalist electronic, like bass music. It's really cool.
Keep things simple.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I haven't been to like a live show in like quite a while actually. Can't remember what the last show I went to was that I didn't play, which is annoying. I really wanted to go see Don Broco. They're doing their headline tour in December.
I heard really about that. Isn't it like with Lonely the Brave?
Yeah, I was really into their new song. I can't remember. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a really good song.
Were you talking about Don Broco's new song?
Yeah.
I
you know it, I think, maybe?
I think,
Yeah, it's something like that, but it's such a good song, man. And, but unfortunately, I can't, our tour manager's on that tour, actually. He's driving a band on that tour. And but we're in the studio at the time, so we're not going to be able to, I'm not going to be able to go, which sucks, but yeah.
Are you looking to write something?
Yeah, we've got
is it a new album or is it just like a...
Not like a new album, we're doing...
an EP or...
Yeah, we're going in to record like 3 full songs. We're not 100% sure to publicly say what the plan's sort of going to be yet, but we're going to release them like early next year, so we'll let you know when we know, sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, wicked.
Yeah.
Nice one. One of my favourite songs on your record is March 1964.
Cool, cheers.
Yeah, I love it. What baffles me is, what is it exactly you're actually referring to by March 1964?
A lot of people ask this. I think it's a lot of people were sort of like reading into the whole March 1964 thing quite a lot and saying like, what's that date about? What's that mean? What happened then? And honestly, nothing happened then. Like, well, lots of things happened then, but nothing in particular that we're referring to. It's less about the actual date, and it's more about generally the past. Like, honestly, March 1964. I mean, Dean wrote the lyrics for that song, but March 1964 doesn't have any sort of specific magical meaning necessarily. It was just, what if I was born in, say, March 1964, and I grew up in a world where the internet didn't exist and Facebook didn't exist. People didn't have mobile phones to call each other all the time. Think about all the music that was released in like the 60s and the 70s.
All on vinyl.
Yeah, but also like about all that sort of music. All the music that was sort of released around like the 60s and 70s and it was all very original because like the Beatles were like in the 60s were like one of the first bands to be a band. They were the first one of the first group of people to ever be like a bassist and a guitarist and a singer and a drummer. Like that hadn't really been done in a big way before, outside of being a solo singer who had a backing band.
Yeah.
So everything you could do with music was really original. Like, you know, you barely had to do anything, and there was something new to be found. It was such an exciting time to be alive as a musician, but also just as a person in general. You know, exploring that whole new sort of area of things and different cultures and different religions. I think it's a really exciting time to be alive. And I think we live in an exciting time to be alive, but that song's about what if I grew up in that sort of time? What if I grew up in the 60s or the 70s?
Because I took it as, March 1964. I was obviously referring to some sort of specific date, but for it being about that, do you think people recognise that factor in the song? Or because where I see it is, in one of the lyrics is, I want to start a revolution because I want it all. And then I looked, you've got to be referring to something important. So I found that there was like marches and things like that in America.
Yeah, that was kind of the secondary meaning to that. Obviously, the initial meaning is March, the month, but then the secondary meaning was kind of like a march, like a revolution, like a spark. And it did have that kind of connotation as well. Like it wasn't a specific event, but it was about like us as musicians. Like I think a lot of music that's sort of written now and released now, especially in our sort of scene, can be seen as quite stale, and people say, like, it's just a copycat, it's just a copy of this, it's a copy of that. So I think it's quite important for bands to try and be as revolutionary as possible and do something new and do something different. And it's really difficult because nobody really wants to help you out. Nobody really wants to, like I said earlier about people making money, people want to make a profit, and doing new things and scary things through a label or saying them to your manager or whatever, they're always like, oh, that sounds risky, that doesn't sound like something I want to do because that's a risky move. I think music's supposed to be like revolutionary and important, and it's supposed to make people think. So if you listen to that song and thought, oh, he means this, it means that. Like, it doesn't matter what
exactly.
It's now that to you, and that's cool.
It's like poetry.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever your perspective is right.
Yeah, music isn't written once. I don't write a song once. It's written 1,000 times to however many people listen to it. If I write a song, that's the first time it was written. When I show it to Dean, that's the second time it's written. When I show it to whoever, when I play it at a show, that's the 50th and 60th, and because everyone's interpreting it in a new way, and in a way that's kind of like rewriting the song, because that's just how it is.
I can't wait to hear that tonight. I hope it's on the set list.
I don't know if we're playing it tonight. I can't remember. I really can't remember.
I hope it's playing tonight, but it's what I'm going to play next.